It's summertime, baby. Oh, who am I kidding? It's the freaking middle of March. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Just Jake Reviews, where I review albums, movies, and sports games. And today, we're back keeping it casual, doing a summer album review. Now, when I say summer album review, obviously, it is not summer. Screw the wind. It's gonna be noisy. Whatever. There's stuff blowing around everywhere. It's not even that warm out, but I figured I'm gonna do an outside review because this album resembles outside and the summertime. Once again, sorry if the tripod's a little shaky. It's windy. Once again, I said earlier. So today's album review is going to be a summertime classic from Calvin Harris, Funk Waves Bounce Volume 1. Funk Wave Bounces Volume 1 is the fifth studio album by Scottish DJ and record producer Calvin Harris. It was released on June 30th, 2017 by Columbia Records. It is the first album by Calvin Harris to feature no vocals. Calvin Harris announced in 2017 the release of 10 upcoming singles. On February 15th, he tweeted that he had worked with the greatest artist of our generation. Later, on May 9th, he confirmed June 30th as the album's release date. Now, of course, when people talk about summertime, people are going to talk about a few albums, but I feel like this is an album that's definitely on people's minds when it comes to them first. Like, it's either this or a few others. I have my favorite summertime albums. This is probably going to turn into one. Maybe. So, yeah, Calvin Harris, pretty famous producer. I read a Wikipedia article earlier about this album that he tweeted out when he was making this album that he wants to literally take the best of best artists and put them on an album together. Let's just say real quick, he ain't lying. I could totally get the atmosphere when it comes to summertime in this album. 10 songs, very short, only like 39 minutes. So very, very, cohesive album. And once again, you got some summertime bangers on here. So let's get right into it. I figure I might just go track for track here since it's a pretty short album anyways. So track number 1, we got Slide, featuring Frank Ocean and Migos, one of the biggest hits on this album, and it's for a good reason. I really enjoy this song a lot. I think Frank Ocean's voice was made for summertime, even though we're probably not going to hear it for another few years. Please come back, Frank. But yeah, Frank Ocean's voice fits really well into this album, really well in the summertime. You have a really solid Migos verse that I was not expecting at all. And, the nice bouncy chorus, when they have bounces in the title for Funk Wave Bounces Volume 1, they are not kidding. There are some pretty bouncy, catchy tracks on this album. But yeah, this first track, no wonder why it was a single, very, very good. And then once again, I just think the Migos, they bring off the energy really well on this track. Track number 2, we got Cash Out, featuring Schoolboy Q, Party Next Door, and Dram. Party Next Door, remember that guy from the Drake album? Once again, really solid track. I think Schoolboy Q was absolutely made for this beat. I would not be, surprised if somebody that he knew produced this. I think it was Funk Wave or Calvin Harris. They helped each other on this album. But yeah, Schoolboy Q, literally made for this beat. Party Next Door brings off a really solid hook with his singing that he could have done better on the Drake album, but he didn't. And a lot of people on albumoftheyear.com, I was reading reviews of this album before I heard it, and a lot of people say that they actually enjoyed Dram's verse at the very end. I'm not too crazy about it. I think Dram, he's kind of forgettable on the track. I mean, I guess he was still kind of big when this album came out. I also don't like the little section of the song where it's just him saying yeah in the background. I feel like that's very necessary and not needed. Track number 3, we have Heat Stroke, featuring Young Thug, Pharrell Williams, and Ariana Grande, a song that I was not expecting to like kind of at all, but I did. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before in a video, but I am not a huge Young Thug fan. Never have been, never will be. It's just something with his voice, and especially, like the time period that this album was, he was still doing the high-pitched voice. But he really tried singing on this song, and I do think this song is actually a pretty good resemblance of his singing. I will say one thing, I'm not really complaining, it's not really a bad thing, but Pharrell's hook on this song does sound like a kid's song. It sounds like he's making a song for a kid's movie, which, once again, not complaining, but that's just the vibe I got from it. And then you have the luxurious, beautiful Ariana Grande vocals on this song. She might have one of the best performances on the entire album by any artist. Ariana Grande is gorgeous on this song. By far the best part of the entire song. I also love the vibes and the beat of this song. Really good. Alright, track number 4. Here's where it gets a little interesting. We have the song Rollin', featuring Future and Khalid. This song is another song that I think is also pretty good, but definitely has some more issues than the first 3 tracks. Like, for example, you have Khaled's chorus that is just kind of repetitive and just borderline okay. And I think Future's flow on his verse is a little too fast for this sort of tropical, upbeat instrumental. Although I can't forget it off the top of my head, but Future says a line in his verse that is so fire. I forget what it's called, but it's like he says something about like the Grammys, and then, oh, you a loser, they call it whammies. I forget what it's called. Amazing, amazing line. All right, now here's where the album takes a small negative turn. Track number 5, we have Prayers, featuring Travis Scott and A-Trak. A-Trak did not sing on this song. I think he's also a producer, so it's pretty much just a Travis Scott song. Let me just say, if this Travis Scott song was on any of his albums, or if he actually released this as like a single for an album, people would be dogging on him. People would be killing him to like an insane level, because this song does not belong on any of his projects. You know, Travis on a solo track on a Calvin Harris album, just kind of bland. He didn't really do much on this. I'm not a huge fan of his auto-tune, his vocals, you know. He's trying to go with like a more high-pitched singing vibe, which I get it for the beat, but not for me. Track number 6, we have Holiday, featuring Snoop Dogg, John Legend, and Takeoff. This song is not that good. I don't think Snoop Dogg belongs on this song whatsoever. Borderline this album. Like, why is he here? Oh yeah, because he's Snoop Dogg. And then I'm pretty sure you can picture what John Legend does on this album, just what John Legend does on any other song, piano and singing. And then Takeoff's verse is actually okay. I'm shocked why they picked him as the solo Migo to get his own song, but good for him, I guess. Rest in peace. Number 7, we have Skirt on Me by Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj gets her own solo song. The flow is awkward. The beat switch in the middle of the song is just weird and does not need to be there at all. I think, even though I'm not a fan of it, I'm not a fan of Nicki Minaj's hook on this song at all, but I feel like you could have kept it in this song and just put 2 other artists on this song and the song would have been perfectly fine. Therefore, Nicki Minaj cannot carry a song by herself. Song number 8. Ha ha ha. This is the song that I was meaning to talk about. We got Feels, featuring Big Sean, featuring Katy Perry, featuring Pharrell Williams. Oh my god, is this song a banger? Say what you want about the Big Sean verse. Yes, it's not the best. Yes, it's a bit controversial, and his lines are not the best, but he does belong on this song. Is Katy Perry's part perfect? Yes. Is Pharrell's singing perfect? Yes. This is a perfect summer pop song that definitely deserves to be the #1 song on this album. And this song also has my favorite beat out of any other beat on this album. Fantastic song. But yeah, and the song's also pretty nostalgic to me. And I also just don't want to hear Big Sean rap about, you know, taking pics of naked girls on a summer song. No. Number 9, we got Fakin' It by Kehlani and Lil Yachty. Man, these two on a song together? Wow, that's insane. Kehlani's singing just kind of bores me on this song, and I don't even think she's a bad singer. I think she's pretty talented, actually. But just kind of alright singing. Yachty's verse is just kind of awkward and doesn't really belong. I do think it is a pretty cool Yachty verse altogether. I just don't think, like, he belongs on this album, really. I'm sorry. And I like Lil Yachty, too. This song has the worst beat out of any song. You're right. I don't need to talk about it. You just heard it. Alright, ending off the album, we have Hard to Love by Jessie Reyez. Oh boy. Remember the last time I talked about Jessie Reyez on this channel? It didn't go so well. Well, this time it's a little better. Not as annoying as Nice Guy and Good Guy. I am getting these sort of like Caribbean vibes from this song. Nice little like tropical paradise vibes. And as an outro, it's alright. I feel like this is the song to pick for the outro. If you don't want to pick anything else, you definitely pick this song to be the outro. But overall, just kind of a boring song. But yeah, my top 3 songs on this album are Feels, Slide, and Crash Out. My least favorite tracks on the album are Skirt With Me and probably Faking It, unfortunately. Once again, I totally understand why people say this is a summertime feel-good album, and I totally agree with that. And this is an album that I definitely will go back to songs on it because the quality does dip a little bit. It does not stay consistent. I was really enjoying and jamming to the first 4 tracks. And then it takes a little bit until you get the feels to get the feels back into this album. But this album has still a good rating because there are a lot of good bangers on this album. And for the start it does, I am giving this album an 8-0. An 8 flat. 80. 80 out of 100, pretty much. But anyways, if you also heard this album and enjoy it or you hated it, please leave it down below in the comments. If you want to, I want to be commenting to all you guys and replying, be like, hey, I agree with you. Hey, I disagree with you, but fair opinion. Also, please go click subscribe and like the video. I would really appreciate that. We're gonna get to 50. We're gonna make it to 50 together. Once again, I understand I gotta put in all the work for it to happen, but I am totally down to do that if you guys are on my team with me. But anyways, that's gonna be all for the video, and yeah, it's definitely not summertime out here. It's actually pretty windy and cold. I'm gonna go back inside right now. But yeah, that'll be all for the video, and see you next time. Peace.